Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I am going to make some raised garden beds out of an old water tank that we had behind our house. You'll see in these starting photos that the tank is a bit porous. It's obviously seen better days and it no longer serves a purpose as a water tank. So I'm not entirely sure the format that I want to pursue with these videos that I'm going to make, nor do I know what type of content I want to make long term. But for now, we're just going to roll with it. This was hastily edited together 2 days ago now, because I wanted to get this out by New Year's Day, but at the 11th hour, I had some problems because I got a new phone prior to finishing the last shot. And my editing program doesn't like the file format of my new phone, so it's a bit of a pain in the ass, but we'll work with it. Essentially, it was 8 months ago from filming this to having it online. So as you can see, we've cut our tanks in half, and they are very rusted and pretty gross on the inside. A lot of built up, I know calcium deposits isn't the right term, but that's kind of what it felt like. It was just a build up of gunk. So we need to clean that off because I don't want any of that touching my soil and therefore getting into my vegetables. So we get out my trusty gurney. Best present that my in-laws ever got for my wife. I don't think she's ever used it at this point in time, but I use it all the time. It's bloody brilliant. If you don't have one, you should get one. It's actually a bit odd watching this video 8 months on, because that fence behind me there no longer exists, and I have some more raised garden beds there, which I think would be a future video. I did film it. I'm not sure how much of it I filmed and whether the footage is any good, but we'll see. So yeah, we spent a bit of time cleaning these out. I really didn't want any gunk on the inside getting into my produce. What have we got over here? Oh, this is the area that we're putting our tank in. So this kind of strip next to the fence on my left, which is falling over. It's still falling over to this day. I don't want to go talk to my neighbor to get a new fence because I don't like him. He yelled at me one day because I was using power tools in my driveway. Yeah, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm just loosening up the soil, getting rid of all the weeds because I don't like weeds, nobody likes weeds, and preparing that area of the garden for a little platform that I'm going to build. I'm building 2 raised garden beds, obviously, because I have 2 sides of my water tank, but I think I really only show one in this edit of the video. I know that in future videos, you'll probably hear me complain a lot about the amount of stones in my garden. Basically, there's no patch of dirt that isn't at least a quarter stoned, and it drives me crazy because I hate stones and pebbles. I'm forever picking them out of the dirt that I dig out, but this is one of the better patches. I think what I've done here is I've emptied my sawdust catch from my miter saw into the soil. I think I'd read somewhere that sawdust was good for basically killing weeds. I thought if I put that down it would help. And then we're just flattening the soil by stamping on it. I've since gotten one of those big flat things on a pole, I don't know what they're called, to do that job for me. What I'm doing here is I'm building a base out of brick for my base that I'm building. Jeez. I'm angling it slightly towards my driveway just for ease of access for when I'm using the raised garden bed. These are just some old tiles that I had lying around from the previous owner. I really didn't want to spend any money on this little project. It's kind of a theme going forward, is that I try and make most of my projects as DIY and like upcycling and recycling as possible. So the wood that I'm using here is the stretchers from a pallet that I found, which is going to be the base that goes under my platform. Yeah, it's probably the best pallet that I ever found as well. It's some really good hardwood. If I could find another pallet like that, I'd be a very happy man. It was like a 5 meter long pallet, and I've used the wood for a lot of projects. Most recently a potting bench that I built, which is another future video. So what we're doing here is just quickly mocking up a frame for the base. It's a simple square frame, not much to it, just a bit of pre-drilling and screwing it together, nice and easy. I apologise for the not greatest video quality and audio quality in the world. This is all being filmed on my phone, like I said earlier, using a tiny 2-inch tripod. It's something that I'm working on upgrading down the line. I would like to, just kind of the funds aren't there at the moment. What I'm doing here is selecting some old fence palings to build the floor for my raised garden bed. These fence palings are the same ones that you see behind me, those diagonal ones. There was a fence just to the left there in front of the heating unit there. So I tore that down not long after I moved into this house because I didn't like it there. And I've since built a new fence there actually, but a good fence. At the time of filming this, and even to this day, I'm not entirely sure how long this platform will hold up long term. I'm pretty confident that it can hold the weight of the tank with all the soil in it, but I'm not sure if the bottom of the tank is gonna kind of disintegrate and rust through, because in my mind it's always going to be wet, and I don't know how it's going to be with that wet soil always touching the wood. But this was a project I just wanted to get done and get started because I was very eager to get into growing my own vegetables. So down the bottom of my tank here, I've just got some old tree clippings, some branches, a little bit of extra offcut of the wood, which in hindsight probably not the best thing to put in there because I think it's treated wood. Just showing you the fit here. It's pretty much perfect for this area of my garden, so I couldn't have asked for a better fit. Over here we have a lot of the soil that I dug elsewhere in my garden, and you can see there are so many stones in it. The stones are the bane of my existence. I'm just using them as bottom fill here because you don't really need to use good soil down the bottom if you're having a garden bed this tall. Got my little tripod leg in the frame there. Rookie mistake. Alright, so that's the final position of my garden bed. I'm really happy with it. I wanted a bit of a gap on each side. I had plans to put something else on the left there, and then this second garden bed a bit of a way away. So this is much the same process. I had to really dodgily patch a hole in the second garden bed. built another frame, got some soil delivered, which instantly my dog started eating because she's a jerk like that. But there's my little patch down the front there. We hide that down the back side of the fence, so that doesn't really matter anymore. And we top up our garden bed with some nice soil. Again, much the same on the second garden bed, just clearing the space for it to live in, weeding it, and laying down a paver foundation before I put my frame on top, and then put my floor on the frame. If I could go back in time, I might consider actually cutting out the bottom of the raised garden bed and having that soil somehow, like, not having the full base for it to sit on, so that the soil, is more or less in a column all the way to the ground, because I'm not entirely sure how my garden bed drains the water at the moment. Like this one, I know it leaks out the back, but I think that it might hold more water down the bottom than it needs to. Regardless though, it's been 8 months and no dramas. Filling this garden bed was the same. A lot of tree branches, some stones at the bottom, and then my good soil on top. And then came the fun part, which was sowing my first ever seeds. In this garden bed we popped in some kale and some radishes, and the radishes grew really well and they were delicious. First time I'd ever eaten radishes. The kale didn't take it all, and I actually went back and replanted more radishes on the kale side, and then after they started growing, the kale come up through the radishes, and we've still got those kale there to this day. Second garden bed we popped in some parsnips and some onions, which I just took out yesterday actually. Give it a good water in. At the time I had a hose that was 3 meters too short, so that's why it looks like that. And this is where we finished up on day one, with my 2 garden beds in place, my dodgy looking driveway, and here's what we look like today. So there's my kale and spinach and some lettuce there in the left bed, and the right one has just been refurbished because we are ready to plant some seeds in it after harvesting yesterday. That's what it looks like today. Huge improvement over what it looked like 8 months ago, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Thanks for watching the video.